Motivational interviewing is a counseling method that helps people resolve ambivalent feelings to find the internal motivation they need to change their behavior. It is a practical, empathetic, and short-term process that takes into consideration how difficult it is to make life changes. Motivational interviewing is a style of communication that has been found to increase engagement in treatment and improve health outcomes. It has been applied to a wide variety of populations and is often used to address addiction and the management of physical health conditions. In this 4-part training series, QSource examines how clinicians can use motivational interviewing within their practice settings, better understand how patients are motivated to make change, and educate staff in using motivational interviewing techniques. Learning MI involves multiple steps, including understanding the spirit of MI, the stages of change, and strategies for engaging, focusing, evoking, and goal setting. Dr. Maggie Holland from Cherokee Health Systems in Knoxville, Tennessee, shares her insight in implementing motivational interviewing into a clinical practice and how to best engage patients for behavioral change discussions. Part 3 of this 4-part series provides a summary of evoking strategies, including the readiness ruler and strategic questions providers can use to enhance patient motivation and commitment for change.
Motivational interviewing, Part 3. Evoking. There are 4 processes of motivational interviewing: engaging or connecting with the patient, engaging them in the visit and in their treatment plan, focusing with the patient on an identified target behavior to work on, evoking change talk from the patient or their stated reasons for change, and planning and collaboratively goal setting with the patient. For this portion of the training, I'll be focusing on evoking strategies. There are 2 kinds of talk: change talk and sustain talk. Change talk is any kind of dialogue in favor of making change. So someone says out loud reasons for change, hope that they can change, thinking about change. And remember, we want change talk to come from the patient. Sustain talk is any kind of dialogue about maintaining the status quo, kind of the yes, but. I'd like to change, but these are the reasons why I can't. Remember, people tend to be more committed to that which they hear themselves defend. Talking about change makes change more likely. And the more providers lecture patients when they're not in action stages of change, the more sustained talk the patient will have. Inconsistencies between beliefs will cause discomfort, and it's uncomfortable to have these inconsistencies pointed out. So a patient may say that they don't want to make necessary changes to their diet to manage diabetes, but they do want to spend more time hiking, as they did before when their legs weren't hurting as much from their neuropathy. As patients talk out loud about these inconsistent beliefs, this gives an opportunity for strengthening the belief that guides healthy behaviors. And that's what motivational interviewing does. Walk into every patient visit with curiosity about what the patient values, or what's the carrot that you can use. Then connect that value to a health behavior. I recently saw a patient for smoking cessation who was not at all concerned about a COPD or risk of lung cancer. But he did let me know that he's concerned about the effects of secondhand smoke on his dog, which I never would have known if I hadn't have asked. Every visit that we target smoking cessation, I begin by asking about his dog's health and what he's doing to keep his dog healthy. If I was still smoking on my concerns about his COPD, he would be much less likely to be engaged in this goal. So remember, you want to find what the patient's value is, what their carrot is. There are different types of change talk that we want to hear from the patient. So we want to hear the patient's desire. Why do they want to change? Their ability to change. How would they change? What are their reasons for change? We want to hear from them that it's important for change and why that is. And then we want to hear a commitment from the patient rather than us telling them what they need to do. There are specific strategies for evoking change talk from our patients. A readiness ruler is a frequently used evoking strategy for MI providers. So ask your patient on a scale from 1 to 10 how important it is for them to change the behavior that you're talking about. 1 being not important at all, 10 being extremely important. And then ask them how confident they are that they can make this change. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how confident are you that you can quit smoking? Let's say that a patient says a 6. You want to ask these 2 follow-up questions to evoke more change talk. What makes you choose a 6 rather than a 4? So this patient is over 50% confident, and I want to hear from them why. And then I'm going to ask, what would need to happen for you to say a 7 or 8? And that's going to let me know what the barriers are that we can problem solve. After using the readiness ruler, offer a double-sided reflection to reflect that ambivalence. So you worry you won't be able to cope with the stress of your life without a cigarette. And at the same time, you would like to stop smoking so that you can breathe better. Remember, this brings to light our patient's ambivalence, which is uncomfortable, and it will naturally create an opportunity for their healthy belief to strengthen. Because at this point, we can talk in more detail about the fact that they want to breathe better. There are additional methods for evoking change talk. For example, anytime you hear change talk from your patient, ask them to elaborate on that. Spend a few extra minutes on that. A patient says, I've been thinking about cutting out sodas. You may ask, what's prompted you to think about drinking less soda? And you want to hear from the patient more details about that. Or a patient may talk about how much they really hated being in the hospital this time. Aftercare appointments from ER and hospitalization visits are a great time to use motivational interviewing because most people don't like to be in the hospital. I always spend some time asking patients what it was like for them. And then it's easy to come upon a shared goal of, what can we do to keep you out of the hospital? What do you think we should work on? Ask for examples when you hear change talk. So when was the last time you remember to take your medications for a period of time? What helped then? Or look back. When you quit smoking a few years ago, how were things better? How did you feel different? What did you do that helped you to quit? You may want to look forward. So if you were completely successful at exercising regularly, what would be different? How would you feel different? You could query extremes. What are the worst things that could happen if you don't cut back on your drinking? What's the best thing that could happen if you do? And then finally, coming alongside. And this is for that patient who is pre-contemplative. This is the way that we convey that we accept them for where they are in their change process. So watching your salt intake is not your priority right now. And we're not condoning the patient's behavior. We're not agreeing with it. But we're stating that we understand in that moment where the patient is. And we're willing to tolerate that discomfort. This tends to have a paradoxical outcome where the patient's more likely to talk about change. To conclude, if you would like to refine your evoking motivational interviewing skills, I encourage you to make a goal for yourself that matches your readiness to learn motivational interviewing and confidence that you can start applying to the skills and then build on your goals over time.
Successful management of kidney disease involves behavior changes, including following a renal diet, maintaining medications, following fluid intake guidelines, managing blood sugar, and making helpful choices that are best for each individual patient, such as choosing a modality like home dialysis or transplant, accepting recommended vaccines, and being an active member of the healthcare team. Motivational interviewing strategies can enhance patient education and shared decision-making, and therefore play a critical role in the care of ESRD patients. If you would like to learn more about motivational interviewing, please watch Part 4 of the 4-part series. to discover more strategies that the dialysis team can use to help patients with successful behavior change.